Welcome to another telehealth information video. I'm Garvin and this video is on vaccines and specifically how soon will we have a vaccine for COVID-19. So the UK's chief scientific advisor Sir Patrick Vallance and his American counterpart Dr. Anthony Fauci keep repeating that it won't be before 12 to 18 months before we get a vaccine. But other scientists, such as the University of Oxford, have suggested it could be as early as June. So who's right? So first of all, this pandemic is forcing change at almost every step in the process by which a new vaccine is developed and speeding it up. A few days ago, a scientist from the University of Oxford had said on Irish radio that we would have a vaccine ready by the end of 2020 or sooner. So what were they referring to was an experimental vaccine and not a vaccine that could be used by everybody on the planet. So an experimental vaccine that is deemed safe and effective enough to be rolled out in a more limited way to high-risk groups such as health workers in the UK that could be ready within weeks or months under emergency rules developed by drug regulatory agencies and the World Health Organization in the context of the recent Ebola epidemics in Africa. So the Oxford University group, led by Dr. Sarah Gilbert, has since stated that a vaccine shown to be effective in phase 3 clinical trials that could be manufactured in large quantities won't be ready before this autumn, even in a best scenario case. So what is the normal procedure for developing a vaccine? Normally, a vaccine is developed in the lab before being tested on animals. If it proves safe and generates a promising immune response in this preclinical phase, it enters human or clinical trials. These are divided into 3 phases, each of which takes longer and involves more people than the previous one. Phase 1 establishes the vaccine's safety in a small group of healthy individuals with the goal of ruling out debilitating side effects. Phases 2 and 3 test efficacy, and in an outbreak like the present one, they are conducted in places where the disease is prevalent. So in parallel with these later phases, production capacity for the candidate vaccine is gradually built up so that factories are capable of producing it on a large scale if and when regulatory agencies judge that it should be licensed. So in an article published in the New England Journal of Medicine on the 30th of March this year, representatives of the Oslo-based not-for-profit Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, which is helping to finance and coordinate COVID-19 vaccine development, laid out an accelerated version of this process that they believe is more suited to a pandemic. So this new pandemic paradigm implements certain steps in parallel, such as animal and phase 1 clinical testing. It also involves scaling up production capacity before sufficient safety and efficacy data are available. And mass production is critical in a pandemic when hundreds of millions, if not billions, of doses are needed. So a Boston-based biotech firm, Moderna, saw its experimental COVID-19 vaccine enter human trials on the 16th of March, just 10 weeks after the first genetic sequence of COVID-19, the virus, or the SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus that causes the disease, were released. Most of the 70-odd COVID-19 vaccine candidates being developed and tested will not make it to licensing stage, and those that have been fastest out of the blocks may still encounter problems later on. Moderna's innovative technology allowed it to generate a candidate very quickly, but no vaccine using this platform has ever been licensed to date. At the Pasteur Institute in Paris, on the other hand, a COVID-19 vaccine candidate is still in preclinical development, but because it piggybacks on an established technology, a licensed measles vaccine, the testing and licensing processes will go faster, and this kind of vaccine can already be produced in large quantities. So while there can be no shortcuts to establishing safety and efficacy, proposals have been put forward for how these experimental vaccines might be tested more rapidly without sacrificing scientific rigour. In February, the World Health Organization published a draft protocol for phase 2 and 3 trials that would test a number of candidates simultaneously in multi-country trials according to standardized criteria. There are still many unknowns with respect to COVID-19, including for how long any vaccine will provide protection. A strong indication of this will be whether people who have recovered from the disease can catch it again. There have been anecdotal reports of reinfection, but the phenomenon is not well understood. So once a vaccine is licensed, there will still be political obstacles to getting it to where it is needed, because each country or public health jurisdiction has to make its own decision to roll it out. There will also be issues of prioritization. So who should get it first? If supplies are limited, which authorities are discussing now? So we could very well have an experimental vaccine by autumn this year, thanks to scientists at the University of Oxford in the UK, the American company Moderna, and that American company. But either way, a vaccine that is approved, let's say 1 year from now, may arrive after the end of the current pandemic. But if so, it won't be wasted. First, because COVID-19 may reoccur seasonally, and second, because the vaccine could itself be repurposed in an event of an outbreak of a different coronavirus, which means that humanity will be better protected in the future. So that brings this telehealth video to an end. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below or contact me through our website, mytelehealth.info, or call into Lynch's Pharmacy in Douglas and Cork, or you can ring us on 021 436 6923 to find out more. Thank you for watching, and stay healthy and stay informed. Thank you.